Hello there, Ray here, and today I will be showing you this cool trick where you can actually have armor stands hold shields in vanilla survival. In a previous video I showed that you can actually put armor onto a villager, so here we got some armor here, even got a shield. Now to get this armor onto a villager, all you had to do is actually place the armor into a dispenser and then dispense the armor onto the villager. Even though the armor wouldn't show up, the villager would actually be taken in the armor. You can see here that most armor doesn't show up. But when we get to the pumpkin here, the pumpkin actually shows up. So the villager had taken in all the armor and the elytra as well as the shield. Now the same can actually be done with a armor stand here. Everything that can go onto a villager can also go onto a armor stand. But mostly the player would just click on the armor stand with the item in his hand, and this will allow the item to be placed onto the armor stand. You can see here we got all the items onto it. But when it comes to a shield, you try to click a shield onto the armor stand, it does not work. Now if you go ahead and place the shield into a dispenser and then dispense the shield against the armor stand, you can see that the armor stand will actually allow the armor stand to equip the shield, which is pretty cool. So if you got a cool banner design that you want to put on your shield, so here I got some off of Minecraft forums. It's a pretty cool one. This is a jack-o'-lantern one. Just get your banner as well as a shield, and then you put those into a crafting table. This will allow you to make a shield that has the same design as the banner. So you can see the shield here has a pretty similar design. It's a little bit more pixelated, but this allows you to actually get some pretty cool looking designs that you can actually put on your armor stands. It gives a little more life to these armor stands. Although putting armor onto armor stands does not actually help the armor stand in most circumstances, but actually putting armor onto villagers actually does help them. So here we actually have some respiration 3 helmets, and we'll put a helmet onto this guy, and this guy we won't give any helmet. Now if we both give him water, we'll actually give this guy water first, and we just put some water up against this block here so that they're both sitting in water. We'll see that actually respiration helmet will allow this villager to outlive this villager over here. So you can see that actually restoration helmets actually do help the villagers, although this doesn't really apply to armor stands in the first place since armor stands do not drown, but they do like to make bubbles. But when it comes to villagers, Thorns armor is actually very effective for the villagers. So if we put some Thorns armor onto this villager and we don't have any Thorns armor to this villager and we put a zombie in with both these villagers, we'll see that actually this villager can actually kill off this zombie just with his Thorns armor, where this villager will end up being converted over. Thorns armor on villager works great, but having the Thorns armor on a armor stand does not actually give any damage to whoever attacks the armor stand. Protection armor is actually very useful for villagers. Here we got some fire protection armor, and if I just put this onto this villager over here, and this villager does not have any fire protection armor, if we actually come along and give them both some flame to stand in, we'll see that this villager will easily die, where this villager can actually outlast the flame block. Now sadly this does not apply to armor stands, even though armor stands can take quite a bit of flame damage before they actually get destroyed. One enchantment that does work for both villagers as well as armor stands is the Frostwalker enchantment. So here we have Frostwalker, and we just put this on this villager here. Then we have this villager walk around. He will turn this piece of water here into frosted ice. Now the same thing can happen to this armor stand here. We got a Frostwalker enchantment boot right here. Put that on there and move that armor stand along, and it'll turn this piece of ice into frosted ice as well. Some enchantments are actually quite noticeable on villagers. Here we got Depth Strider 3 boots, and we put this on this villager here. And if we stick a zombie in here, when the villager tries to pathfind away from the zombie, you can see how fast he can take off across the water just because he has that Depth Strider 3 boots on. Feather Falling is also another enchantment that's very noticeable on villagers, so we stick some Feather Falling on him. Here I just got a command that will send the villager up into air 40 meters up. So then if I just press this, I'll send the villager up, and he's able to fall and he won't die. Now if the villager would be in here without some Feather Falling boots, he would easily die just because of the fall damage. Now elytras used to work on mobs in the early snapshots when they came out, but then they changed it so that you have to use spacebar to actually activate them. So if we give this villager a elytra and we send him up in the air, he's unable to actually hit the spacebar to activate his elytras, and therefore he will die instead of flying across the air. Now same goes for armor stands. They cannot actually activate their elytras either, and they'll just fall down as well instead of gliding. Now the same thing goes for shields. If we give this villager a shield here, he would be able to hold the shield, but he won't be able to actually lift the shield up to reflect my arrow. So you can see I shot him with the arrow and he wasn't able to reflect the arrow. Now same goes for the armor stands. If they're holding a shield, they're not able to actually activate their shield. So if you shoot with the arrow, you just break the armor stand. Now 1.11 they came out with Curse of Binding enchantment. This allows it so that once you put the armor on, it will not be able to be taken off again. Now once you do put this on a villager, like any armor that you put on a villager, you can't take it off unless you kill the villager. So you just kill the villager and it just comes off easily because the villager can actually switch out armors. Now you can also put this binding armor on armor stands, but you can easily take it off in survival as well as get it back. Curse of Vanishing also came out 1.11. When you do put that on a villager, the armor will actually be on the villager, but once you kill a villager, it will act appropriately, and then when you kill the villager, it will not drop its armor. Now the same thing does not occur with armor stands, where if you take the armor off, you can take it off and on, and also when you destroy the armor stand, you can still get the armor back. A cool trick that Tango Tech and Impulse showed was that you can actually use his 1.11 enchantments onto pumpkins. So here we got a bunch of pumpkins, we got a new Curse of Binding book in there. Although you can put a whole stack in there, you only can actually have one pumpkin being enchanted. So we got one pumpkin that's enchanted. Now if you had to take this pumpkin and you put it in a dispenser, you can actually put this pumpkin onto the villager and it'll show the enchantment as well. Now back in the olden days when enchantments first came out, you could actually put all different types of enchantments on pumpkins, and this is probably something similar that's happening here as well. Now if you would like to put this pumpkin that's enchanted on display, you can put this on an armor stand as well, and it'll hold its enchanting look. So it looks pretty cool with all the shininess. Now you can put this on your player as well, so if I put this on my player, you can see that it also looks like it's enchanted. Looks pretty cool. This also works with all mob heads in vanilla survival as well, so we can come in here and put a bunch of dragon heads in here, and we can put like a Book of Vanishing in there as well, and we could actually get enchanted dragon head. Now dragon head itself doesn't look like it's enchanted. You can see it looks pretty normal, and we can stick one of those dragon heads that are enchanted onto a villager, and you can't really see the enchantment, but it does have it on there. You can also stick this onto an armor stand, and then you can actually get it back, and it will hold its enchantment, as well as you can put it on your player as well. Even though you can't see the enchantment, it will keep its enchantment unless you place it on the ground. If you place it on the ground, then it'll lose its enchantment when you break it again. Now if you would like to trick somebody into actually putting this pumpkin that has the binding curse onto it, you can have the person hold the pumpkin and then tell the person to put the pumpkin into the offhand by pressing F. Now once it's in the offhand, you can say, now it's here. Now open your inventory and just shift click the pumpkin out of your offhand and into your main slot. Well, when the person goes to shift click it, it'll actually take it from their offhand and put it into their head slot immediately. Now the person will be stuck with a Curse of Binding pumpkin on their head, and they'll be stuck looking into this view until they kill themselves. Now one question I got a lot in my video about how villagers can wear armor is if villagers can actually have tools put on them in their hands. Now villagers cannot actually have any tools or swords put into their hands by using this dispenser trick. The closest thing you can get to putting in their hands is actually the shield. Now same goes for armor stands. You can actually put any tools or even swords onto the armor stand as well. If you place the armor onto a baby villager and it grows up, you actually keep it. That's what he did here. You can see that he kept his enchanted pumpkin. So items that you can actually put the Vanishing enchantment on in survival are the same items that you can put the Unbreaking enchantment on, as well as the Mending enchantment. So you can put that onto your armor, your tools, your sword, your bow, your shield, elytras, even hoes, fishing rods, and your shears, as well as your flint and steel. Now the exception to the Unbreaking and Mending rule is the pumpkins as well as the mob heads. The Binding enchantment can only be put on pieces that are considered armor, so your actual armor pieces, as well as elytra, and your pumpkin head, as well as your mob heads. These all go into these slots here. So there you have it, guys, how to put shields onto armor stands and much more. So if you found this interesting, show me the like. If you'd like to see more crazy stuff like this, subscribe, and don't forget to comment. Bye!